In December this year, France will host the largest environmental conference, the 21st Conference of the Parties. Of course, we all know it better as COP21. The Paris Climate Change Conference is expected to be the most crucial, making way for a possible new agreement to replace the Kyoto Protocol agreement. To tell us more about how France is preparing for the Paris Climate Conference, we joined in studio by Her Excellency Laurence Tobiano, France's Ambassador for Climate Change. Good to have you in South Africa and welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you to invite me to your famous commission.
It's an absolute pleasure. The last time we had the pleasure of meeting you was actually in your office in Paris while we were visiting. So we spoke about this upcoming conference like it was a long time away. In fact, it was just after the conference held in Peru. But here we are, just months away. How are Paris? How are you? Are you prepared for this?
Yes, under pressure, but and very happy to come to South Africa to discuss with the South African government on these very important issues. Under pressure because we have less than 200 days to complete this. On one side, we feel that every country would like to finish this by December. Every country like to finish negotiation and really start action seriously. So that's a factor of optimism. Nevertheless, we have a lot of problems to solve. Climate change is a difficult issue. It's very complex. It touches every sector in a society: transport, building, energy, poverty reduction at the same time. So it's not easy, but I think now everybody's ready to accomplish what you started in South Africa.
Indeed, as people may remember, this was all started here in Durban when that conference was held, that massive conference. And yet a lot of people criticize the fact that these meetings are more of a talk shop and that we need to see solid action taking place. But this COP21 climate change conference, I think a lot of is resting on it. Why is it so important?
One, because we try to after Copenhagen, notably in Cancun, the idea was to have, maybe it's too difficult to have a legally binding agreement, and it's better to let countries do what they can. And we realized, and it was of course captured in Durban in 2011, that we could not have action if we don't have a solid agreement that binds the governments. So Paris is about this, combining a legal agreement with action. And that's what the outcome we are looking for Paris. We want, on one side, the negotiation to finish and have solid rules for to replace Kyoto Protocol, basically. But on the other side, we would like to have the real economy connecting with this process, diplomatic process. We need the companies, the businesses, we need the local authorities, we need all the actors that are taking action in the ground to be connected with this process. For us, the outcome of Paris is not only the agreement, is understanding that the action and encourage the government to be more optimistic about the capacity to change the economy. And we have a lot of technology out there, we have a lot of ideas, and people are doing things on the ground, renewable energy, adaptation to climate change. And so Paris will be around the mobilization of government, but as well the mobilization of the rest of the society.
What about the Kyoto Protocol, which you briefly spoke about, and then it was extended to the Doha conference, and basically at the heart of all of it, there was the target of reducing overall greenhouse gases in developed countries by 18% at least between 2013 and 2020. How are we doing on this, and is it really attainable?
In a way, the problem is that very few countries, developed countries, are binded by the Kyoto Protocol nowadays. So on one hand, yes, the ones who stayed there in the process are achieving their targets. Europe will even overachieve its 20%. I think we will be by 2020 largely around a little less than 30% of emission reduction. So on this side, yes, it works, but the problem is that many are not binding by that. And that's why when we need a much broader agreement that everybody fits in.
I mean, let's take France as an example. What are you doing to reduce your emissions?
Well, Primarily, we of course we committed to that 2020, so a number of measures have been taken, in particular in energy efficiency and the increase of renewable energy. On the other side, we commit to do more, and we have now passed at the Parliament, it's under discussion these days, new laws that really gets a longer-term view on how the France would deal with the energy. And it's about green vehicles, electric vehicles in particular. It's about a tax reduction for the ones who will refit their buildings to have more energy efficiency in this. It's about an increase in renewable energy. So it's a complex set of policies that are taking place and that deliver. In a way, finally, we see a decoupling between the economic activity and the consumption of energy. So I think that it's really a good direction, and it's doable now.
Now, you're here in South Africa. You're also going to be meeting with some of our top government officials, talking about issues around climate. Your perceptions of South Africa, how are we dealing with the whole thing of climate change?
I think South Africa is one of the leading countries on the domain in the negotiation. That's why I'm coming here first, and I'm going to China after. Yeah. For me, it was very key to understand what the team was thinking deeply, and to create really trust between us, because we will need South Africa at the end. South Africa is really serious about trying to tackle this issue on these two sides: mitigation, reduction of emission, as well as adaptation. But of course, South Africa is facing a lot of problems. Access to electricity, for example, which is the center objective of the policy of the country. And to get this energy, which is heavily relying on coal, to cleaner energy is a big challenge. And it's a big investment program. And at the same time, South Africa is a leading country in Africa, with groups of emerging countries as well, and the G77, because South Africa is now chairing the G77. So an intense diplomatic activity from your country, and intense capacity to propose solutions. So on the last days or last minute of the negotiation, I'm counting a lot on your country to really find solutions.
Good. Well, I'm happy to hear that, and I hope our country is ready to assist in any which way. Just finally, as we wrap this up, you're going to be taking over as the COP president as the conference comes to you. What are your hopes? What are your expectations? What would you like to see coming out of the conference?
On the December 12th, that will be the morning following the end, hopefully, I would like to see everybody, the media globally, in every country, understanding that something has changed, that it is a turning point, that these ideas that we are pointing to a low carbon and resilient economy to climate change, that we are taking action, that it's not only again government but as well civil society which is involved to really act, and with that we share the same goal to really limit temperature, the increase in temperature. That I hope from Paris. Discipline, an agreement that really people would commit to, and that send a very strong economic signal to the rest of the societies, and actors that are supporting it. So hopefully in the 12th of December we have an alignment between government, businesses, local authorities, NGOs who say we can do that, we have to do it together. It's a huge effort, but if we do it together in a very broad international cooperation programs for technology, for finance, we can do that. It's a challenge, but we can face it.
Good. I like your optimism, and I do hope that it's a great success. You're holding the conference at Paris Le Bourget. This is a site of great significance. Why is it being held there?
Well, we need a site big enough to accommodate for probably more than 40,000 people. So we didn't have that in the center of Paris.
Yes.
Second is an airport. So we would like to have a landing the agreement in Paris, but starting a new era. So that's a symbolic of the airport.
All right, fantastic. Good luck. Thank you so much for coming in during your travel to South Africa to talk to us here on the program. Excellency, or Her Excellency Laurence Tubiana, France's ambassador for climate change, focusing on preparations for the 21st conference of the parties that's going to be held in Paris, France at the end of this year. All right, let us now